All right, guys, so washed up left-wing comedian Jon Stewart is back in the news because he has gone off the deep end. He really has, as he's trying to make his return back to relevance after leaving The Daily Show and having somebody take over The Daily Show who was a lot less funny than he was at the time, Trevor Noah. Jon Stewart, again, he's trying to return back to the spotlight. And I think he's making a serious mistake that a lot of these left-wing late-night host comedians are making in regards to how they want so desperately to be accepted by a certain crowd of people. A certain crowd of people who will never let Jon Stewart and people like him be relieved of their guilt. And the guilt that I'm talking about here is white guilt. Because it seems like that is what Jon Stewart has, okay? It seems to me that there's a certain class of people out there that happen to be white liberal elitists that are desperate to prove that, hey, I'm the good white guy, right? I'm an ally to the so-called people of color. And this is why you get a lot of these late night comedians, again, who happen to be white, obsessed with Trump, right? Going after Trump because that's their way of virtue signaling. Hey, I'm not racist. Look, I'm going after the racist orange man here. Hey, can I get some applause, right? Can I get some acceptance, some love, And that's why a lot of them are also obsessed with trying to be woke, trying to appear as woke as possible, right? They come out here and they support the far left social justice agenda. Movements like Black Lives Matter that are clearly a farce, that is based on a false premise, okay, based off a lie. They support it anyways, even though they know it's a scam, because at the end of the day, that is their way of relieving their guilt, right? Emptying their consciousness, because they're constantly reminded from the people on the left how bad white people have been to everybody else in this country. Okay, so that being said, Jon Stewart seems to be a victim of this. Okay, he seems to actually be an extreme example of this, as again, the guy is trying to return back to relevance, and he has this new show on Apple TV called The Problem with Jon Stewart. And one of the first ever segments that I've seen from this guy's show is him basically expressing the problem with white people. Take a look.
And thus, the problem with white people. Hold on. I'm just gonna stop for a second and pose so you can get your memes out. Okay, there we go. Get a good picture for your clickbaits. For however sincerely we want to reckon and listen, the truth is, America has always prioritized white comfort over black survival. Black people have had to fight so hard for equality that they've been irreparably set back in the pursuit of equity. And any real attempt to repair a ton of that damage, reparation, sets off white people's "they're coming for our shit" alarm, which we would know ourselves had we actually been listening.
My feeling is white people have a very, very serious problem, and they should start thinking about what they can do about it. Take me out of it.
Yeah, so Jon Stewart, that segment right there, gives you guys an idea of how far gone this guy is and the audience of people that he's trying to appeal to here, okay? And in that segment there, he makes the strange argument that it seems that there's an irreparable problem, right? A problem that can't be fixed. That's what Jon Stewart says. And that anytime you try to fix this problem that Jon Stewart says can't be fixed, white people get mad about it. In which I would basically ask, okay, well, what's the point of fixing a problem that you said can't be fixed, right? But anyways, that's not the segment that I want to talk about here from Jon Stewart. That just kind of gives you an idea of kind of where this is going. As he had a discussion with Senator Cory Booker involving black farmers, okay? And Cory Booker's attempt to try to help black farmers, because according to Cory Booker, black farmers have historically been disadvantaged. Now, Jon Stewart is going to try to virtue signal his white guilt and go down the woke rabbit hole. Except in this segment, it seems like Jon Stewart is going so far down the woke rabbit hole that even Cory Booker is like, nah, I don't necessarily really know about this. I'm not sure if I agree with you on this. Take a look.
Ways. And so he came in, I said, hey, look, we got a crisis. Very few black farmers are existing. Do something about it. He did something about it. It was my legislation.
And my point is, what happened to that legislation?
It got stopped.
That's my point.
Because we have a Supreme Court and that we knew
it got stopped because
of legal challenges.
Resentment. Yes. White farmers felt like resources were being taken away from them and given to people
because
who
people. Again, when you say white farmers, if I'm a white farmer listening to this in Iowa, I'm thinking to myself, Jon Stewart's calling me, Jon Stewart is blaming me for stopping Booker's legislation. That's not true. But some people stopped that legislation.
Right.
And my job, who wants to help black farmers who've been built off of their land, is to go back to work with the Biden administration, write new legislation that could withstand a legal challenge.
Yeah. So if you watch a conversation involving Cory Booker and somebody else, and Cory Booker is the one that sounds sane, right, and rational in the conversation, you know that the person that Cory Booker is having that conversation with is absolutely off their rockers, that they are insane, okay? That they are way too far left. They are way too woke. Because I'm going to tell you guys, Cory Booker is woke, okay? He is very, very, very woke. I'm just going to remind you guys of kind of how woke this guy is. Take a look.
As Langston Hughes wrote, "Oh, let America be America again. The land that never has been yet, but yet must be the land where everyone is free." Oh, yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me, but I swear this oath, America will be. That is the story of how you got to this desk. You and I and everyone here, generations of folk who came here and said, America, I'm Irish. You may say, no, Irish or dogs need to fly, but I'm going to show this country that I can be free here. I can make this country love me as much as I love it. Chinese Americans first forced into near slave labor, building our railroads, connecting our country, saw the ugliest of America, but they were going to build their home here and say, America, you may not love me yet, but I'm going to make this nation live up to its promise and hope. LGBTQ Americans, from Stonewall women to Seneca, hidden figures who didn't even get their play until some Hollywood movie finally talked about them and how they were critical for us defying gravity. All of these people loved America. And so you faced insults here that were shocking to me. Well, actually not shocking. But you are here because of that kind of love. And nobody's taken this away from me. So you got 5 more folk to go through. 5 more of us. And then you can sit back and let us have all the debates. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a well-charted Senate floor because it's not going to stop. They're going to accuse you of this and that. Heck, in honor of your person who shares your birthday, you might be called a communist. But don't worry, my sister. Don't worry. God has got you. And how do I know that? Because you're here. And I know what it's taken for you to sit in that seat.
Yeah. So when you are outwoking that guy, right, I think you're going a little bit too far, right? When that guy is calling you out saying, hey, you're going a little bit too far with this race stuff, when he clearly has no issues, going on about race this and race that, I think there's an issue here, right? And Cory Booker in this situation is right, because I think the substance of what they're talking about here, I don't know the exact legislation. I couldn't really find exactly what Cory Booker was talking about or what they're talking about, but I think what they're talking about is a provision in the COVID stimulus package that basically has debt relief targeted just to so-called minority farmers. There's debt relief specifically for just them, okay, allocated towards just them. And there was a group or multiple groups that sued on behalf of other farmers who felt like they were being discriminated against because basically the federal government is forgiving debt, right, or handing out resources based off race. They're openly discriminating against people based off of race. Now, some federal judges had put this program to a halt, basically saying, look, I mean, this is not really constitutional. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm gonna be real. I mean, they're right. That's just what it is. You can't just openly discriminate against people based off race. It is what it is. Okay, and that is kind of what Cory Booker is kind of getting at here, right? In this conversation, when he's just like, okay, well, listen, we have to construct legislation that's actually going to be constitutional. And I believe Cory Booker and some other senators actually had new legislation that they think might actually be constitutional that's going to help out black farmers. But see, Jon Stewart, on the other hand, he doesn't really want to have that nuanced conversation about how it's wrong to discriminate against people based off race. Okay, even if you're doing it to try to right the wrongs of the past, it's still discrimination, right? So instead, he goes with it's white resentment, right? It's white resentment. It's just white farmers who feel bad that blacks are getting something that they're not getting, right? And even Cory Booker is like, nah, that's not it. What you're basically saying here is that, you know, some random white farmer in Iowa, you're saying that you're blaming him as the reason why these black farmers didn't get debt relief, okay? You're saying that he's the reason why Cory Booker's legislation is being stalled, and that's not necessarily true, okay? And Cory Booker had to correct Jon Stewart on that and let Jon Stewart know, hey, man, you got to be careful about how you characterize a whole group of people. Okay, you got to be real careful about that. And that's something that, you know, Democrats, in my opinion, they've seemed to have forgotten because they want to appeal to such a loud but small group of people who forever want to be worshipped, right? And that are going to always remind them of how guilty they think white people are for the wrongs they've done in the past. They're so caught up in appealing to those people that they forget that they're alienating and offending a vast majority of this country in the process, right? I'm like, yo, when Cory Booker is telling you to chill out with the wokeness, you know you're going too far. You know you're going too far, okay? I mean, you can have a nuanced conversation for why that legislation stalled other than, well, it's just white resentment. It's just white people feeling bad about, you know, black people getting something they're not getting, right? I think the conversation is deeper than that because, again, you do have discrimination based off race. That is legitimately a constitutional issue. And in my opinion, there's a way to help out black farmers and so-called minority farmers who may or may not have been disadvantaged in the past outside of, well, we're just going to give money to them and forgive their debt just based off race. There's other ways to do it that are fair and that embody equality, okay? Not equity, but equality, which is what we should be striving for, okay? But again, you know, hey, Jon Stewart, he's more concerned about virtue signaling his white guilt, right? And that drives the conversation here to the point where he's getting embarrassed by Cory Booker, okay, who is one of the wokest of the wokes, right? It's kind of crazy how that works. Jon Stewart really is a broken man, in my opinion, chasing validation that he will never truly get. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.